The Vespa has a very special place in my heart. It's very near and dear to me because of the fun childhood memories I have with it. When I was only 9 years old, my grandpa, who's passed away now, and I miss him a lot, gave me the keys to his 1977 Vespa, this pearly white, beautiful bike he had cared for, and told me, "You are a 9-year-old adult now. You don't need a bicycle. You better start taking this motorcycle to and from 3rd grade." And I think I can blame that Vespa for the love of motorcycles I have today, for flaring it up and starting it all. That Vespa 20 years ago when it was handed off to me. So on his Memorial Day, when I was looking around for another motorcycle to review, I thought no bike is better than the 2023 Vespa. Now, the Vespa has one too many models to want to name. You have the Vespa Primavera, you have the Vespa Elettrica, you have the Vespa Sprint, you have the Vespa GTS line of Vespas, and within every one of those models, you have like 10 trims of different colors. Some of them have chrome, some of them have body painted panels, some of them have blacked out panels. Some of them have themes to them, Disney themes. You have the Christian Dior Vespa, you have the Justin Bieber Vespa. You have all these weird diversions of Vespa. But the one we are reviewing today is the 2023 Vespa GTS 300 Supertech. Much like the other Italian manufacturer of motorcycles, MV Agusta, Piaggio started its life as an airplane manufacturer before and during World War II. But after the invasion of Nazis in Italy, Nazis would not allow Italian manufacturers to continue making large-scale useful vehicles like airplanes. So these companies, both MV Agusta and Piaggio, to survive, to still be able to retain their employees and pay them, they had to switch gears and make something much smaller and much less obvious, like a motorcycle. So while MV Agusta went ahead and made those racing motorcycles that weren't too affordable for the general public in Italy, Enrico Piaggio took a different route and vision for the company Piaggio. He began looking at one of the motorcycles that was used by the US troops in World War II called the Cushman motorcycle, and got the idea from that and put it in practice into making the Vespa, something small, something affordable, and something reliable for the war-torn country of Italy and its people. Now, speaking of the design, it has essentially remained the same from day one, from 1946 when Enrico Piaggio made this bike. It has essentially looked exactly the same for two main reasons. One is obviously because this motorcycle is a cultural icon, and you don't change icons like that, because changing the way this motorcycle looks means you lose the fan base this motorcycle has. And obviously you wouldn't want to do that, would you? Two is even a more interesting reason, because if you change the shape of this motorcycle, it's no longer a Vespa. What do I mean by that? You see, this motorcycle from a very specific angle looks like a wasp. And that angle is top down. When you look at it, there is this elongated body, and then there's this bulbous end where the stinger will be. And these two mirrors that look like the bee's antenna is on the side. It looks like a wasp. Why do I say a wasp? Because that's what Enrico Piaggio thought it looks from top down, and that's why he named it Vespa. Vespa is the Italian word for wasp, and if you change the shape of this motorcycle, it will not look like a wasp anymore, so it can't be called a Vespa anymore. This interesting bee design of the motorcycle brings about a couple of interesting points. One is the famous side saddles on the Vespa, these two bulges on either side of the saddle. And what do they contain? Well, one of them, the one actually that is towards me, is the gas tank of the motorcycle. And the other one houses all the electrical and all the mechanical components like the drivetrain, everything that needed to be fit on this motorcycle that would have on a normal motorcycle been here. All of that is down here under the left bulge. The battery is right here under the cover, so this bulge in between the places where you put your left and right feet is the battery, and the coolant is up here in this compartment secured by one single screw. So those are some of the vital organs of this motorcycle. They had to be pushed into strange places to make room for the signature design, where you put your feet and leg and where you put your grocery bag. Vespa knows what the customers are going to be using this motorcycle for. It's going to be running errands around town, and so it comes with a grocery hook right here, so you can split them up open from each other by twisting them, put in the bag there, and carrying your cucumbers and tomatoes back home. Another design feature on this motorcycle is how you put gas in it. Obviously the gas tank is not here. As I mentioned, it's under the right bulge, and there is no filler neck anywhere on the bulge for you to put gas through. So where is it? You look around, you can't find anything anywhere. Well, it's under the seat. In most motorcycles, removing the seat is a whole thing. You must sometimes even have tools to do it, and it's a messy process. You have to remove some screws with Allen keys and stuff. In this one, obviously, because the gas tank is under it, and you also have storage down there, they've made removing the seat a very easy process, and it's an everyday process, sometimes multiple times a day process, because the gas tank only holds 2.2 US gallons worth of gas. But anyways, how do you open the seat to put gas in this motorcycle? There are two ways to do that. Either you can use the key fob. If you're within 5 feet of the motorcycle, you can push this unlock button at the bottom, and if you hold it, you can hear the seat unlock and you can open it up. Or another way is if the key fob is in your pocket and you don't want to reach in there and grab it, you can just push this unlock button on the handlebar and it unlocks. You can open it up again this way. So there are two ways to do that. There's actually a manual third way to do it that I will get to in a minute. Anyways, let's open the seat up and see what's underneath it. You see the gas filler neck, as I explained, and the storage unit. The storage unit has some funny stuff about it. One is that obviously it's removable. That's a good thing. You can remove it to clean it out, but also this storage unit comes with a light, so you can see what's inside your storage unit at night if you want to scramble around looking for something. The light itself is left behind when you remove this bin, and the bin and the light cover come off. I saw this light in there, in this bin, and because of that I thought this bin is not removable, because how would you remove a bin without ripping out all the wires to the light? But that's a pretty genius way of doing this. The light stays there. There is a hole in the bin with a cover, and this bin comes out and the light stays behind. Another interesting observation I made in this lid is the no pets sticker that's placed here, so you don't forget your dog or cat in here. And the logo is pretty funny looking. It looks like a dog that's wearing shades. That's a pretty classy Italian dog, I want to say. But anyways, this is all you get under the seat of the Vespa. Now, speaking of the key fob and the button here that unlocked the seat, as I showed you earlier, you have another button on the top that is in the shape of a Vespa instead of a generic motorcycle, which I really like. You can really see this tiny Vespa with the bulge on the back and the front handlebar situation. All of that's also too cute. But what does it do? That's your Vespa Finder button. So let's say you pull up to a Vespa event, all you and your other Vespa nuts gathered together. All of you have a whole bunch of Vespas, and some of you have the exact same year and model and paint and license plate and all of that. It's all too confusing to find your own little Vespa. So what you do is you push this button and your motorcycle starts flashing its lights, so you can find your Vespa among everybody else's Vespa. Now, another design feature with the Vespa is that they wanted to keep this bulge as clean as possible without anything mechanical going on about it. So if you have a passenger here riding along, riding shotgun, how do they put their feet on some sort of foot peg? Where is it designed for them to place their feet while they're riding around with you on the back of you on this motorcycle? The foot peg is right here, and it is probably one of the most over-engineered pieces of motorcycle foot peg that I have ever seen. You can see here, when you open this foot peg, there is 1, 2, 3 pieces, actually 4 pieces that move with it. And there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rivets there, all moving here with a little bit of lube and grease on them to make it work. Probably the most complicated foot peg I have ever seen is on the Vespa, the 2023 Vespa GTS 300 SuperTech. And now let's talk about the dashboard. The biggest difference that the SuperTech has against other models of even this year in particular is the TFT screen. For the first time, you see a whole TFT colored screen on the Vespa instead of the traditional iconic looking dials, and every year they would do something artsy with that. And I loved to see the evolution of Vespa over the years, and I think the TFT, although a welcomed technological change, does not do justice when it comes to feeling one with this bike, because it's, to me, a cop-out method. You see, you put a screen here, and obviously you can program it to look a certain way, that's fine, but you no longer have that beautiful odometer, tachometer, all those little dials moving back and forth. On an iconic motorcycle like this, I kind of feel going all technologically advanced on is a bit of a loss on the true spirit of this motorcycle. But again, the TFT screen gives you certain things that the old school tachometer, odometer wouldn't have given you, such as you can portray the GPS on the screen as you ride around for a safer riding instead of having to look up your phone or put some form of mount on this motorcycle. You can directly see the GPS on that. You can also hook this motorcycle up to your phone with the MIA app that Vespa offers, that Piaggio offers, and you can also configure the screen to show you certain things that you want to see, all the good things that come with a TFT screen. But again, I think it's a little bit of a loss that we do not have the dials on it. But do not worry, because you don't have to get the SuperTech model. Again, the power delivery is the same. Everything pretty much is the same on this motorcycle as the other models that do not have the TFT screen. So if you don't wish to opt in into this screen, you can always get another type of Vespa of the same model. Another design characteristic specific to the non-Super Sport model Vespa. Super Sport model, everything is blacked out. On other models, you get 2 types of bezeling around the screen or around the dial, the odometer, whichever way you go. This one, the bezel is body painted, which I don't really see that, because I can totally tell the difference between these 2 colors, the one that's around the bezel and the one that's on the dashboard. It's a very mismatched color, and I think you pay extra for this if you want to go the body color route. I think the best one is the Super Sport, which everything is just blacked out. I do not like this mismatched color of the body paint, the bezel paint, and the chrome. There is just so much going on here of different materials and different shins and different everything. I think it's like you crashed this motorcycle, but you didn't quite have the money to go OEM, so you go on eBay and you buy some mismatched parts. That's kind of like what the dashboard of this particular model looks like. But you do get the TFT screen on this one that you don't get on any other type of Vespa. These chrome plates that the buttons are on is actually a fairly recent change. Prior to that, the casing on the handlebar would go all the way to the end with holes punched out of it, and the buttons would protrude out of those holes, instead of this style where the casing ends right before the chrome plate. A huge chrome plate shows up on the 2 ends with buttons on it. Mixed with the chrome mirrors, there is just a lot of chrome going on this motorcycle. It's as though it woke up and decided to rise and shine, because it's shiny everywhere. Now, as far as the buttons that are available to you on the handlebar, you have the high beam, low beam switch here with the momentarily flashing for passing in case you want to pass someone on your Vespa, assuming that the other person is just on foot. Then you have the joystick here that moves up, down, left, right. It's just like a PlayStation joystick essentially for the screen. And on this side of the handlebar, first one is, as I said, the one that unlocks the seat. And it just did after I pushed it. This one is the kill switch, and the ASR is the button for the traction control on this motorcycle. Yes, the Vespa does have traction control, which is not something I was expecting to see on a scooter. And at the very bottom, you have the ignition switch on the handlebar. The sequence of starting this motorcycle, because it is an automatic bike, it's a CVT automatic transmission, and you don't have a shifter or you don't have a clutch, it's just like an automatic car. If you want to start it, you have to hold in the brakes, so you gotta pull in the brake levers, and then you turn the kill switch off, so it's not killing the engine, and then you push the ignition switch, and that's how you start up the Vespa. Now let's talk about the ignition key or the ignition switch, since this motorcycle is keyless. On all GTS 300 models, you are gonna have to just opt in for the keyless model. If you want a keyed model, if you just love the raw feeling of putting a metal key inside the ignition hole, you should get either previous model years of the Vespa or just go for a much cheaper version of the Vespa. Not the GTS line of Vespas, they all have the keyless mode. So as long as you have the key fob on you and you get within 5 feet of the motorcycle recognizes you. But just because it recognizes you, you cannot go up here and turn off the kill switch and hold in the brakes and push the ignition switch. That's not going to do anything. You have to turn the key, the ignition key, to the on position, but it doesn't go to on as it is. How you're gonna have to do it is first you push this button in, and then the screen comes on after you push it in, and only then you can move it on to the on button, and now the bike is ready to be turned on. But while you are in this position, if you push the button in, you're gonna open the front storage unit, and that's what we're gonna do. You push it in, and this front storage unit opens up. Now that the storage up front is open, not obviously as big as the storage under your seat, you will see multiple interesting things in here. First of all, the toolbox would be here. This motorcycle currently doesn't have it. I assume it's at the dealership. Other interesting features is that there is a latch in here that could manually open the rear seat in case your battery dies, and you cannot use either the button on your key fob or the electronic release up here. If you can't use either of these because the battery is dead or your key fob is dead, you could use that manual button. Except there is a problem. There is no way to open this storage without having the key fob on you, coming to your bike, making the bike aware by switching this to the on position that you are near it and you are the owner of it because you have the key fob on you. There is no other way to open this storage unit in the first place. To want to use the manual latch to open the seat, which is an interesting design flaw of the Vespa. You also have a USB port in your front storage in case you want to plug your phone in and connect it that way to the motorcycle while it's charging, and you can leave the phone inside the front storage and close the lid on it so it doesn't fall out on you. I really think they modeled the amenities on this bike after a Ford Explorer. Now, what if the key fob is dead, but the bike has some juice in its battery? Well, the key fob reader unit is right here on the left. By bringing the key fob close to this, by sticking it to this panel, you create enough contact in close proximity that the bike can understand the key fob is there, even if the key fob itself is dead. Now let's move on to the front of the bike. A couple of items here to mention. First, starting with this thick band of trim that runs in the center. It's been on all Vespas of all years since 1946 to now. They just switched the color out for other colors. This one in particular, it's body painted. So the same color as the surroundings of it is also the same color as the center unit piece here. This one is called the tie amongst enthusiasts of Vespa, because when you look at it from the front, the headlight looks like a head, and this looks like the torso, and this is like the tie you would wear on your torso, on your suit and shirt. At the bottom of it, you have 3 openings here. This is not for air to enter or do anything. This is for the sound of the horn to come out of. Another thing to mention here is that this bike has day running lights. You can see it on the two sides of the bike next to your blinkers, next to your turn signals. And you have the famous Vespa logo emblem up here, stuck at an angle, like it always has been, and with that unique font they've been using since 1946, still on the bike in 2023. All the lights on this motorcycle are LEDs, including the day running lights, including the turn signals and the headlights and all of the high beam, low beam, everything is LED on this motorcycle. On the sides of this panel, you can see these shark fins. Those are where the air can pass through to kind of create a downforce when you are going 25 miles per hour, breaking the sound barrier. No, but in all seriousness, these ones are just your radiators. Your radiator fans are within these openings, so the air rushes through under the panels, goes through the radiators, cools down your coolant, which was housed up here, and the air comes out from over there, which is a very unique and cool design feature on the Vespa. The way the radiator is placed, it's very efficient, and it provides free flow of air going in and coming out, so to cool down the components of the motorcycle. It wouldn't be a Vespa if they don't put a center stand on the motorcycle. Vespa's always had the side stand that come with any other bike, and the center stands for ease of maintenance. Now that we are back here, let's talk about some of the components, transmission, drive, engine, all of that real quick about the scooter, and then we will get it out on the road and see how it rides. Vespas for a very long time have been belt driven, and so is this one, no exception. The mechanism, the drive mechanism on this Vespa is a belt under this silver cover. It's actually just plastic, but it's chromified again like everything else on this motorcycle, and it's connecting the tiny little wheel to a CVT transmission, so it's automatic. You don't have to switch gears, which is some of the charm of the Vespa of recent years. The engine on this motorcycle is a single cylinder 278cc engine. I don't know why they call the Vespa 300. I get it on like a Ninja 300 or a Yamaha R3. The engine is like 298 cc, something super close to 300. 278 cc is not even close to 300. So I don't know why they call it the GTS 300, but it is a 278 cc engine. And it makes about 23-24 horsepower and about 24-25 foot-pound of torque. It is also worth mentioning that the brake calipers, both front and back calipers, rear calipers, are Nissin brand, which, you know, for the longest time they've been used on Hondas, Kawasaki's, Yamahas. A lot of those Japanese motorcycles, they have been using this brand on their brake pads. Even some of the Italian manufacturers on the cheaper models, they do use Nissin brake calipers on their bikes. Nissin has been tested and experimented with, and it works perfect. Also, this motorcycle comes with ABS, including the Super Tech model, and ASR, which is the traction control that I mentioned when we were talking about the buttons on the handlebar, combined with a 278cc engine, which is a pretty healthy figure for a motorcycle of this weight and size, and combined with the TFT screen and the fact you can hook up this motorcycle to your phone and the key fob and the storage unit, it's a really, really good deal at the price of about $7,500 to $8,000. I think if you forego of the idea that, oh, I'm too good to ride a scooter or stuff like that, you should really give this motorcycle a try. It really has a lot of options that I have rarely seen on much more expensive motorcycles. Power is there, technology is there, comfort is there, storage is there, everything is really there for the Vespa. And so those are some of the things that I really wanted to show you guys on the 2023 Vespa GTS 300 Super Tech. It's time to put it to test and see how these functions work in real life, not just on paper, when we take this bike out on the road and give it a try. And let's not forget to give a shout out to Bellevue Motosports, and especially Brett, my beloved salesman, who allowed me to take this Piaggio out on the road and test it for you and put as many miles as I want on it, while you guys get to see how the Vespa's changed over the years. If you don't accelerate at all, essentially you are in neutral. If you do accelerate, it technically puts you in gear and you go. And if you brake, well, you brake. That's how an automatic motorcycle works, in case you haven't ridden really a scooter like this before. The notches that are made in the brake levers here and here are designed so that when you fall, they break off from those notches instead of thank you, instead of hurting whatever mechanism they're attached to, the master cylinders that they're attached to, they just break off. Lots of chrome, and on a sunny day like this, there is a lot of glare and a lot of reflection into my eyes. Whoa! We're gonna put the acceleration to test. I'm gonna try to figure out the brakes, which one's front, which one's rear. I don't know really. Usually on bicycles, I think the right one is the front and the left one is the rear. But that might be my mistake, mixing it up with other motorcycles where this one is the front brake. But anyways, let's see how fast the acceleration is. Whoa! Okay, this is no joke. This is a very fast motorcycle, actually. Holy moly! This is really fast. Okay, the brakes work great. In fact, the brakes on this scooter are better than the ZX6R that I rode a couple weeks ago. So the fuel gauge is segmented, shows you how much fuel you exactly have instead of just a fuel light. I don't like fuel lights. This is much better, much preferred. Full color TFT screen. Your typical stuff. Let's see if it works while we are riding. Yeah, it's kind of moving around when I'm moving the joystick around. Some of the presentation of the screen is changing. Yeah, it's a pretty torquey little scooter. The top speed on this scooter is claimed to be about 82, 83 miles per hour, which is more than capable to be on the freeway. But what makes a bike not be very freeway worthy is the acceleration. This motorcycle, I don't think when it goes past 40, 45, 50 miles per hour really has the juice to want to pass cars or to want to be essentially a safe vehicle on the freeway. So I still probably wouldn't take it on the freeway, or at least if so, I wouldn't really go past the furthest right lane. But you can take it on the freeway. Interesting, when I'm under some sort of shade and it's darker, the screen turns darker, so it has a day and night mode. Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. The mirrors are amazing. I am kind of used to super sport motorcycle mirrors that are essentially useless. This one is very good. Shows everything over my shoulder and doesn't show me my shoulders. Look at how much leg room I have. Oh my god, this is so comfortable. I probably look like a freak sitting on a scooter with full face helmet and an Alpine Stars jacket and stuff like that. But to thine own self be true. I want to live like this. What's it to you? So overall, I really love this thing, and I would, if I had that $7,000-8,000 disposable money just laying around, absolutely no purpose, and I was looking for something fun to buy, this probably would be my choice number one. Because of my childhood memories with the Vespa that I had with my grandpa, and because it's all around a great bike. The technology is really good. The speed is really good. The power, the gas mileage is pretty good. It's giving me 50 miles per gallon when I'm accelerating, so I can't imagine how much it's going to give me when I coast, and 99 miles per gallon when I'm coasting. So overall, I think this is a great choice to go around town in style. If you live in a place where the weather is nice and you want to run errands, I doubt you're gonna ever come across a better choice than this one. And now on to the Emmy score for the 2023 Vespa GTS 300 SuperTech. In the commuter category, the bike's riding position could not be more comfortable, literally designed to feel like you are on a couch. Your feet have more leg room than offered on Emirates Airlines, and the handlebar position is pretty straight in front of you, earning the Vespa a 10 out of 10 in ride comfort. The fuel tank is very small, holding roughly 2.2 gallons of gas, which is typical for a scooter. The bike is equipped with a segmented fuel gauge, which I find very helpful as opposed to a simple fuel light that can leave you stranded if you notice it late. The scooter gets a fantastic high 50s, low 60s mile per gallon consumption, earning it a 7 out of 10 in the fuel/range features. As far as the commute specific tech goes, the Vespa has a TFT screen with integrated navigation, has a USB charger for your phone and a key fob for ease of use. It does not have cruise control, which makes sense since you aren't going to be taking this on interstate or freeways or anything. Being equipped with an automatic transmission and the fact you don't have to constantly feather the clutch makes the bike pretty easy to ride in a congested city. The Vespa is also equipped with ABS and traction control, which Vespa calls it ASR, standing for anti-slip regulation, which can come in handy in less than ideal riding conditions. Although not factory equipped, you can buy OEM all-weather mats from Piaggio and a tall windscreen to help you ride in rainy weather, earning the Vespa a healthy 8 out of 10 in the commuter-specific tech and features. Storage is plentiful and lockable, which is expected of a scooter, earning the Vespa a 9 out of 10. A good commuter bike should be cost-effective, reliable, and have a strong dealership network. The Vespa is priced fair in the mid-$8,000 range and is known for its reliability. However, you do not come across Piaggio dealers as often as you would Honda, Yamaha, or Kawasaki, earning the Vespa 6 out of 10. For an impressive total of 40 out of 50 points for the commuter category. And oh boy, let's go to the performance/dope factor category, where the Vespa is not going to shine, but since I look at every motorcycle through the same scope of judgment, we have to talk about this even when it comes to the Vespa. The Vespa's extremely comfortable seating position means you as the rider are not ready to take on any athletic maneuvers. You can't take corners, you can't avoid potholes, you can't wheelie, and overall you cannot do anything sporty on this bike without getting thrown off it because of how loosely the rider sits on the seat. This earns the Vespa a 1 out of 10 in the riding position. The horsepower/torque figures do not need any elaboration. The Vespa, which has continuously increased its engine displacement over the years, is still pretty powerless, even compared to a starter motorcycle like the Ninja 300 and the Yamaha R3, both of which make more than 10 horsepower extra than this motorcycle. This earns the Vespa a 1 out of 10. At 347 pounds, the Vespa is a pretty light bike. Since my score considers this 370 pound bike or lighter bike a 10 out of 10, and every increment of 25 pounds deducts a score, the Vespa gets a 10 out of 10 in the weight category. Regarding the racetrack-oriented rider aids features, there is literally nothing that could aid you should you be under the influence of some form of drug to even think about taking the scooter on the racetrack. It isn't designed for it, and you don't expect anything from it, and I am giving it a 1 out of 10. As far as the Vespa's design choices and marketplace, it goes without saying that the Vespa is a cultural icon. It has kept its design the same over the years and has a fan base of its own. But at least in the US market, after the rapid expansion of interstates and freeways where the roads are vast and speeds are high, no one can deny that the Vespa has become a substantially obsolete mode of transportation, which has led to the bike being less popular. Combined with the fact that you can get a naked bike with 10 times the horsepower figure and still ride around in comfort, the audience of this type of motorcycle has shrunk significantly. But the Vespa is still a cultural icon around the globe, earning it a 5 out of 10 for the overall design and marketplace. This gives the Vespa a total score of 18 out of 50 in the performance/dope factor category. And this is where the Vespa sits on the spreadsheet currently. Since I have not reviewed any other scooters yet, it can't really be compared to any other rival scooters. So as I review more scooters, you'll see how the Vespa stacks up against those other brands. The Vespa is a unique motorcycle. It's like Star Wars. It was once the best of its kind, but over the years it has become irrelevant and less popular, but still has a fan base that will put their lives on the line for it. For me, if I had $8,000 and didn't know what to do with it, I would get a Vespa just for inner city commute and frequent runs to the grocery store and back, because I keep showing up to the store without a grocery list and keep forgetting to get everything I need in one go. So the Vespa, with its gas mileage and its comfort and its storage capacity, would be the greatest choice for inner city commute.